Hey guys, thank you for tuning in the video. This is gonna be another Q&A. I'm gonna try to make one every year at least. And I think this one will be rather long because I'm just gonna try to answer as many questions as possible that you guys sent me. And my voice is shaking, so that's a good start, but I hope that will, gradually go away during the video. I don't want to bore you guys too long with the intro part, but yeah, I just want to tell you all that I'm really thankful that you're even watching this and even are interested. This is going to be an uncut video again, and I didn't script any answers or something. So I might take some time to actually answer some questions because I'm actually gonna, think about it, and yeah, it's pretty spontaneous, which is scary for me to record because I don't know if there will be mistakes, but it's worth it for me, to be honest, just because I want it to feel personal and, as if we're just sitting together and having a one-sided conversation. Anyway, let's just start with the first question. So, someone actually wrote that you could do a simple yet cool introduction. Name, I wonder what's your name? My name is Adrian von Ziegler, so it's my real name. The phone as well, yeah, the phone is also real. The country, I'm from Switzerland. Favorite color is dark blue. I think I answered that one in the last one. Favorite food, I like very unhealthy things. Pizza, lasagna. Actually, most Italian food. Yeah, almost all of my really favorite foods are Italian, and hamburgers, which aren't, but favorite movie. I One of my all-time favorite movies is Gladiator from the year, I think 2000 or 2002 or something, with Russell Crowe. And another one I really love is A Beautiful Mind, also with Russell Crowe. Holy crap. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Matrix trilogy, especially the first one. It's actually, most of those movies are from around the year 2000. I think they had a big impact on me because I was just starting to come into teenage years, and like my mind really opened up, and I experienced those movies like really intense, and they really stuck with me. But one newer film that I really love is Inception and Interstellar. Yeah, those are my two favorite movies from like more recent times. Favorite game, video game. I love Skyrim. I think Skyrim is probably the game that I played the most in the last 10 years. Another one, I love the entire Zelda series, The Legend of Zelda, and Golden Sun. That's a Game Boy game, but it's one of my favorite childhood memories, so I still play that sometimes. Favorite books is actually the Silmarillion. I think that's my all-time favorite. First milk or first the cereals? I actually never eat cereals, but when I was a kid, I did put the cereals first. Favorite Tolkien world character? I've never thought about that, actually. The character that always has the biggest impression on me is Gandalf, because and that has to do with the movies as well, because the actor is just brilliant. But I would say Gandalf, but mostly because of the movie interpretation of Gandalf, because he represents something, I think, that is very archetypical, which is like the benevolent father figure, the teacher, the benevolent teacher, the old master. And I think subconsciously this is a character that when I grow older, I would really wish to become as close as possible to this character as myself, because I would feel like that is a very good character to have. It's benevolent, but it's also wise and strong at the same time, and empathetic and considerate and helpful, and so those are all qualities that I really that I really value a lot, and so it's kind of something I maybe strive for in the future, because I think you need decades of life experience to actually become this way. So I know at this stage it's too early for me to even dream of being like this, but I am trying to live to become that, I think. Do you put pineapple on pizza? Yes, I do. I'm one of those people. Have you ever thought about trying another art form, drawing, writing, painting, etc.? Yes, I do. I actually used to draw a ton when I was a teenager, and I never painted. I only drew, but I drew a lot, and I kind of stopped doing that. I think around the time that I became very invested in music, but I still miss it sometimes. It is something I really enjoy doing, so I should probably do that again. Another thing that I do still is writing, and so writing, definitely. I love writing. I love stories, and I love creating worlds, and then have people inhabit those worlds and tell the stories of the people in that world. And art forms that I've never done yet, but that I always found fascinating, and it's something that I may want to do one day, is actually photography. And I was always very fascinated in filmmaking, but filmmaking is one of those things that as a solo artist is maybe one of the most difficult to actually realize properly, because you need locations, you need artists, you need actors, and all that stuff. But I think the thing that interests me most about movie making is actually the script writing, which is again the writing part, as well as, well, film scoring, actually everything, because in a film it seems like so many art forms come together. It's cinematography with the visual, it's the script, it's the acting, it's the music. So filmmaking is amazing to me. How are you handling the pandemic stuff? I hope you and your lovely wife are okay. Yes, we are okay. No one's no one got sick yet, and we are looking out for ourselves and each other, so that stays that way. In our family, no one has gotten sick as of now, and we're gonna get through it. Also, we're just careful, and we are rather introverted, so we don't go outside much anyway and meet lots of people and all that. And another lucky thing is that my job is from home, so I have the luxury of actually I can stay in here and work. So yes, we're in a good place. I really hope that whoever watches this is too, and yeah, I honestly I just hope that all this ends soon, because it's doing a lot of horrible effects on many people. Yeah, a lot of suffering. Which castle is your favorite? I have never thought about this question actually. I've never thought of my favorite castle. I'm actually, and this might be maybe a bit weird to hear, but I'm actually not like a very interested in castles. I enjoy how they look, but I have never been the type that actually goes around online and searches for beautiful castles and stuff. I haven't ever done that. I've seen some very beautiful ones that exist in Scotland, for example. I've never been there, but I know pictures, and so maybe those old Scottish castles, they seem really like mighty and imposing and kind of dark romantic almost. What trip meant the most to you and why? That would be the first trip to Portugal, because I have to explain this a bit. Karina, my wife, she lived in Portugal when we first got in contact together. Like, we met online, so for over a year we only wrote over the internet, and then after a year and something, I finally got on an airplane to visit her in Portugal, and that it was like a 1 week trip to visit her, and that was the most impactful trip I've ever made in my life, for sure. That meant the most to me. Yes, absolutely. What inspired you to want to make your own language? Well, I actually I think this question is concerning the language that I shared, but I actually made languages in general since I'm like I think I made the first one I was like 14, but it was very, it was just starting to invent your own words and then putting them together, and it's like a code language so that you and your friends can talk and you feel like, whoa, you're in a fantasy world and no one can understand you, whatever. But this language actually started very differently. So the origin of this language was that I've made several languages during the years of like between 14 and 20, 21 something, and then when I met Karina, like I wanted to invent words that can express my feelings for her with an own language, and I wanted those words to have the sound that she likes the most. So I actually asked her and felt out what sounds she loves the most in a language, like the melody and how the vowels go together and stuff. And it's very like her aesthetic, how do you say that, her preference in language aesthetics is like between Latin and Elfish and stuff, and that's how this language actually came to be, because I started to make the first words and first sentences as translating my feelings for her, and then it just grew from that. And yeah, that's how that was the original inspiration for this language, and then I included it into my fantasy world. I actually made the fantasy world kind of at the same time. It was because of this language actually that my fantasy world started to grow. and it got included in that, and now it's a huge thing. Since you create such beautiful Celtic music, thank you very much. I would. Okay, sorry guys. It looks like my camera shut off. It said it was too hot, but the internal camera thing was too hot apparently. So that might happen maybe 3 times if this records for an hour. Let's see. I'm sorry. So it cut off at, since you create such beautiful Celtic music, I would like to know if you have ever traveled to Ireland. No, I have never traveled to Ireland. It's always been on my list, but somehow I've never went yet. I don't even know why, to be honest. If you were a fantasy character, what race and class would you be, and why? Well, if what I would be realistically, like without me wanting to be, I would be a human bard, I guess. Class bard, yeah. Because I would not be a good fighter, that's for sure. In terms of what I would want to be, well, I would like to be an elf, because, you know, elves live like thousands of years and can't get sick, and are super smart and talented. Honestly, the class wouldn't even matter then. Just something that's not too violent. Which of the 4 elements, water, earth, fire, and air, do you feel most drawn to? This I found quite an interesting question. Because I've never thought about it. That's why I wanted to include this, and I forced myself not to think of answers to the questions until I recorded. Let's see. I think I'm an earth type, because a lot of the things that I find the most fascinating, like in nature and like in general, are earth related. Forests, trees in general, earth itself, plants, mountains, yes, mountains, caves. I really love caves for some reason. Every time I'm in a cave, I get so inspired. I don't know why. I guess maybe if I were a fantasy character, I might actually be a dwarf. Now that I think about it. Do you often remember your dreams or not? I guess I'm in the normal average category in that. I remember some dreams, but I don't remember all the dreams vividly, and yeah, it depends. I tend to remember bad dreams, but I guess that's normal. What other cultures are you interested in, and what aspects of those cultures draw you towards them? I am. That's one of my main hobbies, and my main passions is actually cultures in general. So I love cultures, and it almost doesn't matter what culture it is and from where it is and what point of time it is from, because I am fascinated by anything, any society, anything that humans have constructed, you know, as like a belief system or a society or an era in a human history, and how they lived and how they thought, and what mattered to them in life and stuff. So, but in terms of what cultures am I interested in the most, let's say apart from, you know, ancient Celts, like, because this is quite obvious, I would say, and the Germanic tribes. Apart from that, something more exotic would be Japan. I've always loved Japanese history and culture in general, language, everything. It's very fascinating to me. It's I think I'm fascinated by insular cultures in general, um, and yeah, I also have a weird fascination with Aztecs, and it's a very different reason. I'm fascinated by the Aztec world because it is one of the strangest things, and I don't mean that in any you know, insulting way. It's one of the most alien things to me that I can imagine as a human, because of the. And I know a lot of those things were exaggerated by the Spanish, but human sacrifices did happen. They did wear skins of the warriors that got sacrificed around their shoulders, and it's just like, and their religion was very apocalyptic. It's very fascinating to me. Maybe that's weird, but I am fascinated by cultures that are hard for me to understand. So I read a lot about them, and that's why. Yeah. I think you've mentioned before that you're from Switzerland. Yes. What is Switzerland like? I've heard it's expensive. People are more conservative, and nature is a big part of life there. It is very expensive. Yes. Super expensive. It is by the cost of living. It is on the chart. It's the highest up of any country, except for city-states. It's the highest up together with Norway in the entire world. So yeah, the cost of livings are very expensive, but the quality of life is good. So it makes sense. People are rather conservative, I would say, but there is. It depends on the generation, I would say. Because, yeah, the older generation is rather conservative, but my friends are not. And most people, I would say, that are about my age or younger, there is a shift. There is definitely a shift in views. But I would say in general, Switzerland is a country where I actually sometimes explain it to people from other countries, that it's a little bit like hobbits, because we're rather isolated, and we like everything set up properly in little gardens and little houses, and we just stay there, and we like things how they are, and we like it when things don't change too much, and we made our little isolated little island, and we would just like, yeah, I think Swiss people appreciate peace and quiet a lot. Nature is a big part of life here, because we have the mountains and stuff, and that influences how people view nature and life, I guess. But I don't know if it's a bigger part here than in other countries. So everything that I just said here might be totally untrue, because this is just my personal observation, obviously. And other Swiss people might have totally different, opinions about, like, no, Switzerland isn't like this, it's like that. So I don't know. Just yeah, I have no idea. What other languages do you speak, and are you interested in learning other languages? Yes, I'm always very interested in languages. Myself, I don't speak many languages, unfortunately, especially not well. I speak fluent English, German, and Swiss German, although Swiss German is really like a dialect of German. I speak like several languages, really, like, just so that I can have the most rudimentary conversations, which is Portuguese and Romanian, and really like a little bit of French, but yeah, I can actually neglect the French because it's really so bad that I don't think I could actually hold a real conversation. Um, Interested in other languages. Yeah, I actually tried to learn Japanese years ago, but I gave up because it was too difficult and I didn't have the energy for it. Um, yeah, I would really love to learn Romanian properly. Because I actually really like Romanian. I like how it sounds. It's a very, it has a beautiful melody in my opinion. What genre of books and movies do you like? I like serious stuff. It can even be sad, like it can be tragedies and or epic historical things. Um, I like comedies and stuff, but it's not the reason why I like movies. So the things that I enjoy the most about movies is when, for example, a whole world gets created in a movie, like Gladiator or The Lord of the Rings or Interstellar, things like this. Quite epic, emotional journey types of movies. What genre of books and movies? Oh, wait, I just answered that. How important do you think nature is for a person's well-being? I think it's very important. Yeah, I think it's very important to have some type of connection. I don't know how to explain it, but there is something that really happens when you're a lot in nature, that you feel more connected to life and I don't know. It's weird, and it can sound very esoteric, very fast when you talk like this, but it's true. It can form a very deep connection to the experience of living and mortality itself. If you're spending a lot of time in nature, because I don't know, there is something about it. For me, especially, forests have that effect, where I feel whole and I feel like my primal self. Yeah, it's weird to explain, but I think it's important. Yes. What is your favorite word and why? I actually added this question even though I have no idea, because I don't have a favorite word. I think there are some words that I really like as a sound and as a concept. For example, I really love the word sanctum, which is actually Latin, but it can also be used in English. Sanctum has it looks beautifully written and it sounds beautiful and it has a beautiful meaning. So maybe sanctum is one of my favorites. And another one of my favorites is from my own language, and it's Ethêlo, and that means love, because that's actually the first word that I ever invented in that language for Karina, obviously. So that has a very special meaning. Can I ask what was your inspiration for Alvae? So for those who don't know, I made a song called Alvae, and actually I just pronounced it wrong because it should be Alvae. So it's this is a song that deals with a part of my fantasy world, and it concerns a specific tribe that it this would take too long to explain, but it's a tribe that was kind of pushed into the forests after millennia of being a very high culture that was technologically advanced, and they were pushed into the forest and they developed differently through centuries, and they became a very unique culture, and that's what the song is about. It's about them as a culture, and the word Alvae means actually the white ones, because they come from a tribe whose symbol was a white eagle, and that's how the name stuck, and After a while, only the color word stayed as the name, and so yeah, has nothing to do with race. It's a word that describes a symbol. I want to ask you something. Okay, so this is an important question in my opinion. I want to ask you something. I'm having some trouble with. Does your depression ever cause problems in your relationship with your wife? If so, how do you manage to not make it a problem for both of you? And how does your wife cope with it? So yes, as some of you know, me and Karina, we have both very long-term depressive phases. Like it is actually chronic depression, and it affects you in waves. So this, I don't know what it is. It's like a chemical in your brain that you sometimes literally cannot feel happiness. It really sucks, and it comes in waves. So it's not always steady, and in bad phases, what I think what's very important is that you talk with each other, and you really tell each other what's going on, basically, because you need, like, this is such a basic advice, but communication is really everything in a relationship. You need to tell each other, and you also need to tell each other, especially actually, the things that you're uncomfortable with, because those are the important things. If they weren't important, it wouldn't make you uncomfortable talking about it. The comfortable things are the easy things. Those are the things that, are already kind of okay, but you need to talk about the things that make you feel bad. And the partner needs to love and respect you so much that no matter what you will tell them will be accepted, respected, and will be taken into consideration in their life. So that's, it just has to be, you need to be always honest, and you need to respect each other. It's as simple as that, because if you truly respect each other, you will not hurt each other. That's unless you have a very emotional breakout that you can't control and stuff. But even then, after that is over, you need to fix it properly, and you can only fix things properly if you go at the problem with the proper respect for the other person. So that's how we deal with this. I wanted to include this question because, without trying to brag, Karina and I have a very strong marriage. We have a very strong relationship, and we really love each other, and so I know that I have a point in actually, I have a kind of a proof that things work if you do it a certain way, I guess. I don't know if that sounds arrogant, and I'm sorry if it does. I just thought maybe it's an advice that can help some people. But the most important thing is you need proper respect, and both sides need it, obviously, because if only one side has respect, then the relationship is, I wouldn't say doomed, but it's not on stable feet. And yeah, so respect, honesty, and communication, and then you can actually go through almost anything, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay, another cut. Where was I? Does everything going on in the world right now with COVID and lockdowns affect your creativity in any way? Yes. There's actually a strange thing that happened, which is that when the lockdowns really happened, and I was in this room basically the whole day, every day, I actually became more creative because I think I felt like, sounds so weird, but I felt like really undisturbed, you know, because there was literally nothing going on, and I had to go nowhere. I had nowhere to go. Like there was nothing happening. There were no people to meet and no places to go, and so my mind was going into full work mode. That's all I did all day. It was really working a lot, and it yeah, it it uh, it gave my mind a lot of space in a weird way. But that changed recently when it when it started to go on for too long, and yeah, it becomes a bit I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's not as comfortable anymore after a while. Even for someone like me who is very introverted, and I like being at home. You know, I enjoy being in my four walls and being alone. And but I guess human nature, like no matter how introverted you are, you if it's a long enough time, you will start missing people. You will start missing social life and outside world and stuff. Yeah. As a socially awkward person, socially anxious person, I want to know how you deal with the awkwardness around people. I've been lonely for many years and I can't stand my life. Social anxiety is making my life unbearable. I, it like you can maybe tell by me making a video like this that it's not as bad anymore. Like I can handle things. What I want to say first is, if you say that it's making your life unbearable, you need a therapy. You need a professional to talk to. And I actually did that too. I was in therapy with a psychologist since I was 15, and from 15 until like 23 or something, and no, earlier, way earlier actually, from like 12, yeah. And I one of the first reasons why I started going there was actually because of my social anxiety. Like I had huge anxiety to just talk with people or look in people's eyes, and just move around in school, you know, just moving through the halls or opening a door and walking into a classroom terrified me. It's just like, yeah, it was rather unbearable, and you need a professional that can look at this with you. If you can, I would go talk to somebody who is educated properly to help you as a professional, because this is an issue that, of course, I can give some advice, but in the end, I don't know exactly who you are that wrote me this, and my advice might not work for. Actually, this also counts for my relationship advice, but just to keep in mind, you know, not every advice that I give will work necessarily for every person, because people are so individual, and to just keep that in mind. But how I personally dealt with it is that I very slowly started building up a very small circle of people that I was very comfortable with. So I never had many friends, but the friends that I started building into my life were very close friends, because like friends that I could actually talk to about everything and anything. Karina is one of those. Even like she's my wife, but you know, I count her as my best friend, and so that is something that definitely helped me, because even if it's just one other person, you start being social in some sense with that person, and even that helps already to gain a little bit of trust in being able to express yourself verbally and look at a person and having a person around you in general, and so that I can definitely advise. But it's hard, of course. I mean, it's hard to make friends. But that's another thing that maybe I can advise, is that all of my closest friends, including my wife, I have met online. Because online, and you of course have to be careful who you meet online, but you can build a different kind of relationship with people I have experienced than when you meet people in real life. Things tend to become way more personal and way more focused on deeper topics if you start out the relationship online rather than in person. It's just my observation that you start talking about very deep things rather immediately after knowing each other, and so you actually get to know someone's thoughts very well, which is very essential in determining who will be a very close friend to you, obviously. Yeah. What's your favorite song in absolute? It's actually a question from one of my personal friends. I don't have a single favorite song ever. I don't have that. It always changes around with times and stuff. But I do have a few songs that stick around for a very long time. Sometimes even from childhood, that I will never let go as some of my favorites. So I can just talk about some of those songs maybe. So I have it's actually mostly game soundtracks and movie soundtracks. So I love the even star part of the soundtrack in The Lord of the Rings, one of my favorite pieces of music ever. The main theme from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is also one of my all-time favorites. What else? Final Fantasy has a few that I will always love. For example, in Final Fantasy X2, there's a song called Windcrest, The Free Trials. I love that piece of music to bits. The Whiterun theme from Skyrim, I will always love that. This could go on for a while, so I'm just gonna stop there. But yeah, it's mostly game soundtracks, movie soundtracks. So yeah. Also several tracks from the Gladiator movie. What do you think about the future of mankind? What do you think or hope will happen to us in the next centuries? Thank you for all the inspirational songs. Thank you very much. It's another question that I included, even though I don't know what to answer. Because I thought I'll think about my answer and figure it out while I talk about it. I think the question diverges in my answer concerning what I think will happen and what I hope will happen, because they are not the same thing. Because what I think will happen is a lot more negative than what I hope, unfortunately. So what I think will happen in the next centuries is that we will ruin the Earth's ecosystem quite heavily, and that is almost a certainty, I would say, unless there is an extreme advance in nuclear fusion technology. Yeah, but we will survive it, I think. So even if the ecology is completely ruined, I think humans are way too persistent to die off as a species. Like, we will survive it, even though it would be not a nice existence, but we would still be here. What I hope will happen is that this doesn't happen, and that there is an extreme advance in technology and in a difference in thinking globally that can prevent that, and that for example, heavy industry can be moved away from the planet, because there are already plans like this, that it might be possible to put heavy industry outside of the Earth's ecosphere into space, because you can manufacture things in space. That's possible, and maybe sometimes we can do that. And if you can do that, then the Earth wouldn't have to be exploited anymore, and this unique nature could actually stay and thrive. Yeah, so that's what I hope. That was kind of gloomy answer. I have just finished my studies. Can you congratulate me? Congratulations. I had to include this in. Yeah, very proud of you. And for all of the rest of you that are still in school and still do their studies, don't quit school, because I quit school and I really regret it. So yeah, it's important. You need an education. Do you ever feel that guilt or pressure when you are unable to create anything? I make music as well, and that is something that can really bother me when I am in a creative low. If so, what do you do about it? Guilt or pressure? I feel many things when I'm unable to create things. I feel some guilt and pressure, because naturally I know there are a lot of people waiting for music at any given time, and if I can't create anything for a long time, I do feel pressure. I have to be honest about that. I do feel a underlying guilt and pressure, as if eyes are watching me, waiting. But I try to tune that out, because I want to enjoy making music, and if I don't enjoy making music, there's no point in making music. So the only reason why I make music is because I enjoy it. And so if the main reason for me to make music would become that I am pressured to make music, then it wouldn't be worth it anymore, and I would have to stop, So I try to let that part really not get to me, and try to just do it for me, and yeah. It's also the only way, I think, how you can create with genuine passion, and it will also show in the music, I think. Guilt is another thing. I feel that a bit. What I feel more is I actually get very, very depressed if I don't create anything for a long time. It's almost like, it sounds very dramatic, but it's almost like I lose my sense of purpose. It's super weird. It's almost like I need to create in order to feel that I live. And it maybe also has something to do with my escapism, that I need to escape into fantasy worlds, and that's art for me, creating, because otherwise it's very difficult for me to feel happy in reality. It's what do I do about it? I try to calm down. I try to actually do other things. I try to just do for a while things that are very, just really relaxing things that I enjoy. Watching movie and playing games and stuff, going in nature, be with people I love, and wait for a spark. And sometimes you can not induce a spark, but you can help the spark to come up a little bit. And by just regularly sitting down on the keyboard or whatever instrument you have and just trying a bit to play, but don't force it too much, because inspiration is very fickle. It will go away very fast if you push it too hard, in my experience. So that's how I deal with it. What are some of your favorite places in the world to be, and why? It'll probably shut off again soon. I love Grindelwald. I love Lagoa in Algarve in Portugal. And I love Adelaide in Australia. I have been in Adelaide in school when I was 10 years old in Australia for a few months, and that was one of the best times I ever had. And so I love that place, maybe for nostalgic reasons, but I'm almost 100% sure, even if I've never been there, it is a beautiful place just in general. What is or are the songs that you are the most proud of? Maybe give like a top 3, and which are the least proud of. The most proud, I can definitely list The Elder Path, because I worked very hard on that song, and it came out almost exactly how I wanted it, which is quite rare. I also am rather proud of Aetas Romana, the Roman 20-minute song that I made, because while it's not traditionally Roman, whatever that means, I think I managed to capture the exact feeling that I wanted to capture, which is that it transports me, at least me personally, really transports me to ancient Rome when I listen to it, and that's exactly what I wanted. So I am very satisfied with that song. And for the third, I would pick a very personal song, which is Innocence. That was a very personal song I made many years ago. That is, I'm very satisfied with that one as well. Just in general. The least favorite songs. There are a few songs that I didn't work very diligently on, because I like, especially many years ago when I first got new instruments, I made some songs that were really more just to test out the new instruments, and so there were some songs that I didn't take much care of the song itself. I just wanted to play around, and now when I listen to those songs, I'm not very like, I know that they could be a lot better, and one of those is A Red Sun Sets, which is really I did that in literally 30 minutes, I think. I just wanted to hear how the voice and the strings can come together and stuff. And another one is Gaelic Earth, because I also made that song in like half an hour, 20 minutes. I just pressed the notes and it was there, and it's very low sound quality, and it was done so fast that I know that I didn't really take care of it and properly. A third song, I would say Kojiki, because I really messed up the nature sound in that one. So yeah, the crickets are way too loud. Still not shutting off. Very good. Hi Adrian, have you ever considered putting lyrics to your songs with the language you made up? Yes, definitely. And I actually am working right now on a song where I will probably add lyrics and my own voice, but it's actually a new language. It's another language. But yes, I will definitely make songs where this language that I am about to release in a dictionary, that will also be included in songs. Besides music, is there anything else that has helped you feel better about yourself and life? Alright, yes. The biggest thing that helped me feel better about myself and life is definitely Karina, my wife. Yeah, she helped me believe in myself and believe in the good in the world and believe in life being worth living. Yeah. Anything else? Strange as it sounds, just time. I needed time. I needed time to grow mentally, I guess, to see many different facets of life, and that, because when I was a teenager, and I began thinking about deeper things, and I saw so many things that I hate about the world and life. I think it overwhelmed me so much that I couldn't properly see that on the periphery of this darkness there is a lot of light, and I see much more of that light now. And so that was an insight, and a change from the inside, and change from the outside was Karina, and those two things really helped me a lot. Have you ever experienced something magical like a vision or another special phenomenon? Yeah. Yeah, I did. I don't know if I want to go in detail with that, but I had specifically one dream, actually, that was a premonitions dream. It was directly foretelling something that happened later. So, but yes, I did experience things that I can't really explain. Who does the art for your albums? They are gorgeous. Thank you very much. They're all made by Karina. What initially inspired you to release all those pagan metal songs? Do you think you're still burnt out of the genre? I don't think I'm burnt out of the genre particularly. I think that in the last years, I think that I just my creative output was more focused on things that sound relaxing, because I think I entered a phase more that I that what's very important for me to express is things that give me peace and express that desire for peace and of and pagan metal is a very powerful, can sometimes be almost an aggressive energy. It's a very, very powerful. I think aggressive is a negative word, so I'm just gonna scrap that. That's not aggressive, but it's a very powerful and fiery feeling, and I need that. During the last years, I need that expression less than I did when I was like 20, 21. I think that's the main reason why it's more rare for me to compose those types of songs. It's just a feeling that I need to express less now. But I still do it sometimes because it's fun, and I will never stop doing those songs. They're so much fun. And you can do things with those, and you can express things exactly as I said that you can't express with other styles of music. So I will always come back to this style for particular feelings and imaginations. Is there any go-to progressions or scales that are like go-to for that pagan or Celtic sound? Yes, there is actually. In particular, it's Aeolian and Dorian scales, and actually in those I often make use of the pentatonic version of these scales, because it's more primal in a way. It's more I don't know how to explain it, but don't go too pentatonic because you can end up sounding Chinese. So just warning you with that. It can happen, and it actually did happen a little bit with my song Moon Song, because that song was so heavily pentatonic and Aeolian that it sounds a bit Asian in the end. But yes, in general, Aeolian I can very recommend. I actually did most of my Celtic songs, especially the more dramatic ones, in Aeolian scale. Do you think suffering and difficulties in our existence gives to an artist his inspiration? It can, yes, but it doesn't have to. I think there are plenty of artists that have other reasons for making art, because art is a very, very like a very wide spectrum of things, and suffering and difficulties in life and existence itself is a very, very strong reason for making art, and I think this is a reason for many artists why they start making art. I know this is why I started. The need to express your suffering and the need to express feelings that you can't put in words otherwise. So yes, it can, but it doesn't have to. Which sounds do you regularly use for your music, sound packs, etc.? I use the most regularly, I use East-West libraries, especially Goliath, Ra, Storm Drums, sometimes Silk. Those are the most important ones. I can do actually most of the things I want with those, especially Goliath is very good. And apart from that, I also use Era Medieval and Era Celtic. Those are also very good. So those are the ones that I use the most. Does Ethêlo-iêl mean I love you? That's my bet. It doesn't mean exactly that. It means my love, or more like my beloved. Yes, my beloved. That's what that means. The person that asked this is referring to a song that I made, and it's titled this, and I made that for Karina, so yes. I would like to ask if you do any physical exercise, and if not, would you like to, and which one? I'm not very much into physical exercise, but I recognize it's important for health. So I'm not stupid. I'm not ignorant. I know it's important. I'm just not a very physical person. So like all the things I enjoy the most are all in here. So music, creating music and stuff, and you literally do that from a seating position 24 hours a day if you want. And so but if I would want to make exercise, and I actually did try it several times, but I never stick to it. I hate training that has to do with condition. So I hate running, and I hate very long duration kind of exercise. What I like the most is actually lifting weight. So strength exercises I actually enjoy. Shorter but very, very heavy, like very straining exercise. It's a weird thing, but I actually like the feeling of really getting this muscle strain. I don't know, it's almost masochistic, I guess, but what sourced your inspirations for your Celtic music collections, and will you be releasing any more anytime soon? I will release, actually. I think I will always keep releasing them. I can't imagine ever stopping doing that, because I love doing this so much. So yes, I will release one soon. And what was the reason for starting to do that? It's just that I started making a lot of Celtic music, and what is the reason that I started making Celtic music in general is... That's a pretty deep question actually, because I'm not sure. It's just something that speaks to me deeply, and I can really identify with the sound of this music style. I don't know it. So I used this style more and more to express everything inside of me, all the imagination I have, and it came out in a lot of Celtic styled music. And so I started collecting them and putting them into those albums, and they became the Celtic Collections. So, what's the stuff you like the most in a fantasy world? I like the most in a fantasy world detailed world building, I guess, because well, the reason why I love fantasy in general is because I love the feeling of entering a different world and really feeling like this world exists and you can really lose yourself in it and escape into it. And the more detailed a fantasy world is built, the more I enjoy it, because the less I question in my head whether, like, it looks more real, you know. And so that's what I enjoy the most. What puts me off a little bit in fantasy is sometimes when you read a fantasy book or something where you can see that if you start picking apart things in the world building, you realize that after a surface level analysis there is no real depth underneath, and the whole concept kind of falls apart, and you can see that it hasn't been constructed in a deeper way, and it pulls you out of the how do you say that, of the realism that it's actually a real world. So that's something that usually disappoints me. Like I can never stick to fantasy books, for example. As soon as I realize something like this, I usually don't continue reading them. Yeah. What are the most weird or surprising things that have inspired you? The a really weird thing is probably when in like 2011, like very long ago, I actually made a Latin American song. It's actually a rumba. And I have barely ever heard a rumba before, but I somehow ended up making a song in that style with like trumpets and stuff, and I named it a Portuguese title, Melodia do Sol. And yeah, I think I got inspired by going to Portugal. Yeah, that was a very weird inspiration for me. I was never inspired by something like this in the past, and actually also never since, I think. Another weird inspiration would be maybe... Well, it's not a weird inspiration, but it's a surprising and unexpected one, which is that we had a neighbor once that had a dog, and I really loved the dog. And I ended up, when the dog died, I was really sad, and the dog actually was like it was a race, do you say race in English? It was a breed, oh my god. It's Rasse in German, yeah. It was a breed that was actually very wolf-like, very close to original wolf genes, and So I actually made a song for that dog in commemoration, and that song is Alpha. So yes, it's not a weird inspiration, but it's a special one that has definitely never happened before, and hasn't happened since then either. How did your view on humans change from the last 10 years to now? I partially answered that in the question, I think, where it was asked what helped me feel better about life. I was very nihilistic. I was much more nihilistic 10 years ago than I am now. And I see more good in the world, but it's still a struggle, because it doesn't mean that I forget all the negative things that I saw once. It just means that I still see them, and I also thankfully see some good things on the side, and so, you know, it helps. Which of your songs were inspired by a dream? I feel like I actually answered this in the last Q&A, because I remember I said Legend, the song Legend was made from a dream. I actually right now don't remember other songs that were made from a dream, but I actually just finished a new song that is also made from a dream again. So a few nights ago I woke up at 5 in the morning with a melody in my head, and I wrote it down, and that's a new song now. So you will get to hear that hopefully soon. Can you talk about your track Wolf Blood a little bit? Did you know it will be that famous? What were your inspirations, etc.? No, I had no idea it would get that many views. What was my inspiration? It was wolves. It was a very general but very strong wolf identification song. So it's like a wolf anthem for me. It's because wolves are not just as an animal, but as a symbol, are such a strong symbol for me. They there's so much power and spiritualism about them. I can't really explain it, but I wanted to make a real wolf song since ages, and Wolf Blood was my quintessential song to honor wolves. So yes. What inspires you these days the most? I am very inspired right now by forest things in general, and by very ancient things. Is there something you want to achieve or improve within the next 5 years? I want to stay happy, I want to be happy, I want to be healthy. I want Karina to be healthy, I want her to be happy. I'm not ambitious, so I'm not like dreaming of, oh yeah, I want to be making music for a big movie and be stuff like this. I don't care about that. So I want people to still enjoy what I do, and I want to still enjoy what I do, and yeah, I want to keep that going and have fun and have a good life. I don't know. Sounds pretty boring, but honestly, that's all I ever wanted. What is the meaning of my name? I think, well, I don't know if you mean von Ziegler or the Adrian part, because Adrian comes from Latin, I think, and means from the Adriatic Sea, I think, or the river Adria. So it's a place name, but there is a theory that the river Adria has its name ultimately from a root word that means dark. So it's possible that Adrian means the dark one, which is a bit, you know. And von Ziegler means so Ziegler is a bricklayer. It's actually I think it's a brick maker actually, and von is just a title. All right. Do you wish to help people who listen to your music to feel good or released when you're composing music? Yes, that's one of my main how do you say that, goals, one of my main purposes, to help people, especially with my emotional music songs, because they come directly from my darkest place of depression and deep sadness and bad things that happen, and like I know that for me personally, music like this makes it easier to deal with negative emotions of that sort, and I see it sometimes that there are other people that seem to resonate with that feeling of feeling understood by this music when they are in a bad time and in a dark place. And so especially with those songs, I really want those songs to help people. Yeah. Do you think a musician should have a mission when writing music? I don't think you have to. There are plenty of musicians that don't have a mission. You can if you want, but it's not necessary. I would say I have not a particular mission, except for what I just said with helping people. But it maybe changes part of your motivation to make music. If you have, for example, a very important reason why you really, really want to make music for people, in order to talk about something important to you, or in order to express something that you feel has to be expressed in the world, then it can probably boost your motivation enormously. So it can be helpful for sure, but it's not necessary. Music can also just simply be made for enjoyment because you love doing it, and honestly, that's also good. What do you think is the most important thing you have learned in this life? Oh, well, many things. The most important, I don't know if it's the most important, but one thing that I learned, and I'm not alive that long yet, so I'm sure that I hope that I will still learn a lot more. But one thing I already learned is that being true to yourself and doing the right thing, the thing that you believe is right, because the right thing doesn't exist. Let's not forget that. It's a subjective thing. You have to know what's right for you. Doing the right thing is, and being true to yourself and being honest with yourself and the world, and not betraying yourself, and is very important to do all this, even though the world tends to not reward you in any way for doing those good things, and you should still do them. So, it's that whole thing, for example, where you see on YouTube, you see those channels that people give homeless people money and stuff, but they record it and then they put it online, and many of them are genuinely generous and charitable people that do this, but there are some people that really do it because they are praised for doing it, and in my opinion, it is important to do all this stuff even if nobody would see you do it, you know, and yes, doing the right thing and is important in any circumstance. You have to do it regardless of a reward. Yes, that's a very important lesson, I think. Do you take psychedelics? No. I don't take any drugs, actually. Do you think you'll ever finish your book? Yes, I will. I will definitely finish it. I don't know when, but I'm not gonna give up on it. I will definitely finish it. If you could communicate with one animal species, what would it be and why? I actually know this answer already. That's why I added this question, because I would want to be able to talk to cats, because I have a cat, and me and my cat have real like conversations together, but I don't understand what she's really saying, you know. She just chirps and meows at me and blinks at me and stuff, and I talk back, and it's clear that she wants to tell me stuff and she wants to talk to me, and I would love to know what it is that she wants to say. Who would you say are your idols? This includes people who are and are not musicians. Like idol as in people that I really admire and look up to are definitely Tolkien, in many respects. Then Joseph Vargo, which is the composer of Nox Arcana. There are more personal reasons why he's an idol, but definitely not lessened by the artistic reasons why he is an idol of mine. Then I also really admire Hans Zimmer, because first of all, he's extremely talented, and I love how he composes music and how he thinks about music. But actually, the thing I am inspired the most by is not his talent, but his attitude towards music. Because whenever I see him talk about music, or a making of or something of a soundtrack, and how he interacts with other musicians, and just how he goes at the music process, he really seems like he has such fun. Like he's like a child in a candy shop, that and he's done this for decades, and this passion, this joy, just this childlike joy about finding a new sound and finding a way to express something in music has never left him, and I really love that. That's it's very inspiring. And then I would say, maybe as the last to mention, is probably Kurt Cobain, but this is a more nuanced answer, because I was in a very similar mindset, maybe, and this is hard to tell, of course, because we'll never be able to ask him, and you can only assume, but when I was a teenager and 20 something, I was very, very depressed, very nihilistic. I didn't want to live. I had extreme stomach problems that caused me pain all day. I was, um, you know, yeah, and I know he had all those problems too. And at the same time, he also made music to deal with this all those feelings and to get them out of his head and to express them. And so I don't idolize him, but I feel like I can just yeah, it's really not appropriate to say that I can understand him, because I like you can't claim that about anybody really. But yeah, you know, I feel like yeah, there is a part of me that can relate maybe, and especially when I was a teenager, I listened to a lot of Nirvana, and also the music, the power in the music, and the emotion in the music inspired me to make music myself and to express my own dark feelings, and yeah, so Kurt Cobain, although the word idol is maybe not the right one, but it's an important person in my head, you know, especially growing up. What's the hardest part about composing music? The hardest part is the start. The start is the hardest part, because like you can be very inspired, you know, you can know what you wanna write about, but until you find this the first melody that really grips you, and with the right instrument, that's just the right sound of something, it can take a while, and I've actually had instances where I've never found it, and there are ideas of songs I want to make that I have never made, because the idea I have in my head, it never, I could never put it really in a musical form, and that can be very hard. Sometimes it just flows, and you just press a key on the keyboard, and you already know the entire song in your head. But other times that can be extremely difficult to really get the sound right, and the lead melody, it's something like this. It's very difficult sometimes. How does depression impact your creativity? In two ways. If I have a more mild form of depressive phase, I actually get more creative, because there's a lot inside of me that has to be expressed, a lot of feelings, and yeah, and also the need to escape reality is stronger then, so I escape into my own little world where I create things to feel like I'm existing, and that living is still something that is worth doing. As it's a rather dark way to describe it, and it's not always that dark, but so if I have a milder form, then I get more creative. But if I have a very heavy form, a very heavy phase, depressive phase, I actually lose everything, all my creativity. I lose every ounce of inspiration, creativity, the will to do anything, and that really sucks. Because usually when I feel bad, music is there for me, you know, and I can work through my bad feelings with music. But if I feel too bad, then even that is gone, and then I'm just a blank page with nothing to give and nothing. So yeah, there's like an edge where where it falls over to a really bad thing. Yeah. Are there any styles of music that you like to listen to but aren't as fun to compose in? Yes, definitely. All right. Sorry again. Um, uh, yes, the music style is hard to compose in. Not as fun to compose in. Yes. Many styles of electronic music, even though some types of electronic music I really enjoy, and it's not that hard anymore, at least. But specific types are something I don't think I can do. Like everything that is very technical, um, with synthesizer stuff and tweaking and tweaking sounds and all the settings and stuff. I'm just not very good with that. So that's hard on a technical level, and also not as fun for me personally. Um, what's hard in a different way, and therefore also not as fun, because it doesn't flow really. Is a very like high classical music, because it's so like it's based on so much music theory, which I'm very bad at. Like I never learned music theory, so I only know basics, and so I can't really do like really classical music, even though I really enjoy listening to it. But I just don't have the knowledge for it. Favorite animal is the snow leopard, since I'm like 12, actually. What was the original inspiration for your language and your book? I actually answered this. The original inspiration for the language was Karina, and the book stems from that. So, in the order of what came first, the language was first, and then that created the the people that speak it in a fantasy world that evolved itself around it, and from that came the story idea, and so it's all based on the language. Um, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? I actually thought about this question beforehand, and I thought quite a lot about it, because first I was thinking of all the cool things you could do with a superpower, but then I realized there is actually something that, it's fun to think about it, but if someone, and then I tried to imagine if someone would actually stand here in front of me and really tell me I could have one superpower but only one, I think I would choose it on a totally different reason. And then I realized that I would choose healing, because it is the most useful. If I could just heal anything and anyone, including myself, of course, that would be the best superpower for me. It's the most useful. Do you think that happy people or a person that doesn't know how depression works can be an artist? Yes, definitely. It's just a different type of artist. But I don't think it makes anyone any less of an artist. It's just a different reason for why a person like this makes art, and a different way they express that art. But art is so universal. I don't think that there is any kind of box that you need to be in order to be an artist. So yes, because I also personally know artists that have never had depression, and they make fantastic art. So, do you ever watch what people use your music for? Yes, I actually do, and I really enjoy watching that. Yeah, I'm very curious about it. So, if anyone watches this, who used my music in something, I would really love to see. Yeah. What do you usually feel when you're composing a song? Do you feel connected to something specific, or is it just comes to your mind, or does it just come to your mind, I guess? It depends what I'm writing about. Well, yeah, it depends what I'm writing about. Some ideas are more general and more foggy in a way, because it's maybe based more on a general emotion that I'm trying to express. And other times I am writing music based on a very specific scenery or scene or story or whatever that I have in my head that I want to tell in music form. So it depends. What's the function of a rubber duck? I had to include this. It's cute. And how tall are you? I am 1 meter 80. So I don't know how much that is in feet, but yeah. And that's it. That's actually all the questions. I made it my goal that I will go through every question. And now it's 2 o'clock in the night, but I'm really glad that I went for it. But I also know that most people will almost certainly not like watch to the end here. But if you are a person that actually watched all this, thank you very much. That really means a lot to me, and yeah, I really appreciate it. And I actually enjoyed doing this a lot too. And I feel like it's so weird, you know, because I was so nervous at the start of the video, and now I feel like finally I'm relaxed enough that I am acting almost normal. But now it's the end of the video, so it always comes too late with me. Yeah. So you guys always just see me anxious, because as soon as I start relaxing, the video is over. But I hope that whoever watches this is doing well and is in good health, and I just want to thank you again for, you know, sticking around and being interested in general. Like, that's still a bit weird to me that that this is actually something people want to see and know about me. Like, it's a very strange feeling for me. Yeah, but I'm very grateful for it. And yes, thank you again, and good night. I'm going to sleep now. Okay. Yeah.